From my time reading Weekly Shonen Jump manga, no single new manga has had an impact like Kagurabachi so far. It feels like a watershed moment for Shonen Jump internationally, and while I was reluctant to talk about it upon its initial release, I feel like now there's a substantial amount of things to discuss. Firstly, the impact it's had on the international manga world is very unique. It certainly fits the trend of popular battle shonen we've seen like Phantom Seer, Red Hood and Ayashimon being popular outside of Japan, but even before its first chapter, it broke beyond that, briefly entering the internet's public conscious for a few weeks due to it being memed on for its hype, akin to something like Morbius. While that was certainly really funny, and having non-manga reading friends of mine ask about it was very weird and surreal for me, I did get a bit worried about its future and what kind of fans it might attract. Fandoms and groups in anime and manga spaces aren't always known for their kindness, and I'd say that goes doubly so in shonen manga spaces and shonen jump spaces in particular. There can be a lot of negativity and elitism, not always, but it does exist. Thankfully, so far, the majority of interactions I've had with Kagurabachi fans have been especially positive. People are excited, passionate, and kind. It's even gotten people to read more Jump manga or be interested in the magazine itself, which is really wonderful and something I love a great deal. There's also a really strong, welcoming sentiment to this community so far, with some people expressing interest in shipping, specifically BL. The community at large has accepted them very quickly, even going so far as to add Fujoshi's welcome to their banner on the Kagurabachi Reddit. And while that's pretty funny and nothing major or anything, it's just a really nice, small, kind act, and I love seeing stuff like that. The Bachi Bros, as they have self-titled themselves, really live up to the bro portion of their moniker in how accepting and kind they can be sometimes. Stemming from this, there's a lot of cool fan art. Non-BL stuff exists of course too, and it's lovely to see. Most Jump manga get a little bit of art now and again, and they carve out their little fan bases, but there's a substantial amount of Kagurabachi fan art so far. The manga has a lovely blossoming community with people who seem to realize that fact, and I hope we can strive to keep it that kind because it's what I love to see and what I think the shonen manga space needs. It's a big reason why I wanted to make this video in the first place, because I think kindness and positivity should be shown, expressed, and appreciated. Moving on to other things Kagurabachi has impacted, recently it got some voiced comics. Lots of Jump series usually get these, and they're put on various Jump YouTube channels from my knowledge, but usually the text and voices are in Japanese. However, this time we've received these voiced comics with English text, which means English-speaking readers can now understand these and appreciate the dub. This is likely because Shueisha and Jump know that Kagurabachi has had a substantial impact internationally. There's already a lot of fans in non-Japanese speaking countries, so they're catering to that somewhat. It's really interesting, and it might be one of the first signs of Jump acknowledging an international fanbase like this. They even mentioned Kagurabachi's popularity overseas at Jump Festa last December, which is a massive event held every year to celebrate Jump manga and reveal new news about various projects. We don't know what will happen for sure in the future, but Kagurabachi might have been the spark for future change to happen within Jump and its relations to its international audience, which is very exciting to think about, and I hope to cover it in the future. Next, I'd like to talk about the manga itself a little bit. I never did a first impressions video on it or anything when it released, but it was pretty much what I expected after the first few chapters, a battle shonen with a bunch of edge. It's good at being that though, and since then it's proven itself by crafting the beginnings of an interesting story with some stellar action scenes and artwork. Chihiro's story of finding the 6 swords his father has made is a simple but good hook, but was given more weight with the conclusion of the last arc, where he faced off against Sojo with Cloud Gouger. In chapter 17, T, as well as having the physical sword fight take place, we got a more introspective and direct battle of ideals with the two characters having tea in a more metaphorical representation. This creates a unique flow within the chapter of action and then reprieve, and it helps to sell its ideas in a clearer way. It's also just a really fun narrative device I appreciate and didn't expect. It adds a bit of class to what otherwise would have been a well-illustrated but standard swords battle. What struck me most about this arc, and the final chapters in particular, are the clear ideas and themes being played with. The swords of Rokuhira representing authorial intent. Chihiro has his own ideas of how to use the swords and what they represent, but the villain Sojo also has his own. He accepts Chihiro's nauseating beliefs, but does not want to know of Rokuhira and will not change his mind as he's reached his own conclusion of what the swords mean to him. That they are tools for slaughter, which goes against how Chihiro feels about them, even though he understands others can interpret the author, the creator of the swords, as father, differently. As a really simple example, you could substitute Sojo and Chihiro for two Kagurabachi fans interpreting the manga and its events differently. Rokuhira in this case would be Hokazono, the author of Kagurabachi. This is a really interesting and engaging theme to deal with, partially because that's what I'm doing by analyzing and assigning meaning to this interaction. I'm extracting what the characters have said about their in-universe swords, and I'm applying to that the idea of authorial intent versus reader intent, or reader versus reader intent. It's oddly meta, but also rewarding because it feels intentional on Hokazono's part. Either way, I think it's rewarding to engage in Kagurabachi on a deeper level, and this idea of authorial intent could be explored in a very interesting way in the future if Hokazono intends to. Even if it doesn't go much deeper though, the idea Chihiro has to overcome other swords users who might have different ideals attached to the swords, and his father is very interesting. Each character introduced in the future will have unique worldviews and ideals that Chihiro will have to engage with, which may bolster his resolve in his own beliefs or challenge them. His idea of the swords, violence, and even his own father. We might ultimately get a story about a son coming to terms with his father's death and deepening his understanding of him post-mortem. Really, the story is ripe for all sorts of interesting explorations, and so far I think Hokazono has the ability to deliver us something that is both a fun, edgy action series and a story with something meaningful to say. I feel like I could really delve deeper into some of my ideas with Kagurabachi so far, but I want to let it cook and really see where it's going. Then I can make more conclusions and can say something more substantial in the future about its actual themes and message. To wrap everything up here, I'm really happy to see the support and kindness that has surrounded Kagurabachi. We should all do our best to foster kindness and understanding as people have done thus far, and hopefully more and more people will get interested and invested in the series. The manga seems to be doing well for itself as well so far, selling out in many locations throughout Japan, although this might be due to stock problems. Still, that's a good sign people are buying the volumes at all. It's also receiving color pages alongside its batch brother Mama Yuyu, so Jump wants to keep it for now at the very least. I hope it lasts and has a long fruitful run in Jump because it's been a blast to read so far. Depending on the reception of this video, I might make another on Kagurabachi in the future, should I have more to say on the topic, so make sure you're subscribed if you'd like to know when a video like that would drop in the future. I also talk about all sorts of manga on my channel, mostly Shonen Jump, so if you're interested, take a look at some of my other videos, like my History of Shonen Jump series, where I go over Shonen Jump year by year from its very beginning in 1968. I also have a Discord where we discuss manga and everybody is welcome. A link to it will be in the description. As always, thank you for watching, remember to be kind, and take care.